All right, welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving headfirst into one of the most wild, enduring, and honestly fascinating concepts in human history. We're talking about the hollow Earth theory. This is an idea that has absolutely captivated minds for centuries, literally weaving its way through human culture, from ancient mythology all the way up to modern internet conspiracy theories. In this explainer, we're going to unpack the entire thing: the history, the supposed evidence, the indisputable science that debunks it, and the psychology behind why this subterranean myth just refuses to disappear. Okay, let's dive into this by challenging our very perception of reality. We all know the established scientific facts, right? Backed by decades of seismology, gravity, and magnetic studies, we know the Earth is a solid, incredibly dense sphere of rock with a molten core. That is our conventional understanding. But just for a second, I want you to imagine, what if that conventional understanding was completely backwards? What if the ground beneath our feet was merely a thin shell hiding a vast, vibrant world right inside our own planet? That single, mind-bending question is the beating heart of the hollow Earth theory. Part 1. Ancient Myths and Early Science. To really wrap our heads around this theory, we've got to look at its roots. And trust me, this isn't just some internet-era fad. Belief in an underground world is almost as old as humanity itself. Way back in ancient times, you had the Greek myths of the underworld, the legends of Agarti in Tibetan folklore, the ancient tales of the hidden kingdom of Shambala. For millennia, the underground was this realm of the mysterious and the divine. But then, fast forward to the 17th century, specifically 1692, and these ancient myths were suddenly given this shiny, new scientific facade. And that laid the groundwork that would eventually snowball into the full-blown polar portal conspiracies we see in the modern era. Let's zero in on that pivotal year for a moment, 1692. This is when the brilliant astronomer Edmond Halley entered the chat. Now, Halley was actually trying to solve a very real, very serious scientific problem of his day: anomalous compass readings. To explain why these weird magnetic shifts were happening, Halley proposed that the Earth was actually composed of concentric shells. He thought, hey, maybe these inner shells are rotating at completely different speeds than the outer crust we live on, and that's what's messing with our compasses. Now listen, there's a really crucial distinction we need to make right here. Edmond Halley was an absolute titan of science, but this specific theory, it was a theory born from a lack of data, not evidence. He basically made a flawed assumption to fill a huge gap in human knowledge. And by putting a respected scientific stamp on the idea of a hollow planet, he inadvertently opened the floodgates for centuries of speculation. Writers and theorists took that ball and ran with it, treating a hollow interior not as a fun what if, but as a definitive certainty. Section 2. Polar Portals and Hidden Truths. So skip ahead to the modern era, and the conspiracy truly took off with this wild idea that there are vast openings at the North and South Poles acting as literal gateways to the interior. And who exactly is hanging out down there? Well, theorists have a few ideas. They range from angelic beings, to reptilians, to hyper-advanced human civilizations. Honestly, with all these different civilizations supposedly thriving down there, it's got to be getting pretty crowded in the Earth's interior. But according to the lore, these beings are living in a literal utopia, completely shielded from all the mess and conflicts of our surface world. Now, to back up these massive claims, proponents rely on, well, let's just call it a very specific and highly flawed set of evidence. They argue that global powers are actively guarding these polar gateways to keep the truth from us surface dwellers. But when you actually unpack their evidence, it falls apart instantly. We're talking heavily misinterpreted satellite imagery, super vague claims about shadowy government activities, and, my personal favorite, the journals of literally fictional explorers, which these theorists will cite as if they were authentic historical documents. No joke. Which brings us to Section 3, the scientific reality. All right, time for a hard pivot to reality, because physics and geology absolutely shatter this subterranean illusion. We know for a fact the Earth is not hollow. And our primary tool for knowing this? Seismic waves. These are the powerful vibrations caused by earthquakes. So the crucial point is that seismic waves act as our literal window into the Earth's interior. Since we obviously can't grab a shovel and dig down to the core, we listen to the planet when it shakes. Let's walk through exactly how this works and paints a picture of our planet. Step 1. An earthquake hits and triggers these massive vibrations. Step 2. Those waves travel straight through the entire planet. Now step 3, and this is the key right here. As those waves travel, their speed and direction actually shift depending on the density of the material they're passing through. Finally, step 4. By monitoring these detectable patterns on the opposite side of the globe, scientists completely confirm a solid, multi-layered Earth. If the Earth were hollow, those waves would behave so wildly differently. The giant void would stand out like a sore thumb on our instruments. And if seismic waves weren't enough to convince you, we absolutely have to talk about the gravity problem. This is just basic, undeniable physics. The sheer force of gravity, literally the very force holding you to your chair right now and keeping the moon in orbit, pulls mass toward its center. A hollow planet the size of Earth is just structurally impossible. The incredible gravitational pressure would cause the whole hollow shell to collapse in on itself instantly. Boom, gone. So let's just put this all into perspective. You've got Halley's 1692 theory on one hand, attempting to explain magnetic shifts with rotating concentric shells. But on the other hand, modern science definitively confirms that our magnetic field is actually generated by a spinning, liquid metal outer core. Science doesn't just debunk the hollow Earth, it actually gives us a reality that is so much more dynamic, incredibly complex, and, honestly, way cooler regarding our planet's actual interior. Section 4. Why the myth persists. Okay, so if the physical science is this absolute, this undeniable, why in the world do people still believe this today? Well, the answer isn't actually rooted in science at all. It's psychology. Conspiracy theories like the hollow Earth flourish because they offer a sense of order in what is objectively a chaotic universe. They give you that rush, that thrill of possessing secret knowledge the masses are blind to. And maybe most importantly, they provide a very clear us versus them narrative. Believing in this stuff makes a complicated, unpredictable, and sometimes harsh reality feel just a little more manageable. At its absolute core, the hollow Earth theory taps into something incredibly vulnerable in all of us. It represents the ultimate human desire for a hidden sanctuary. The idea that just beneath our feet lies this perfect utopian world, totally shielded from the wars, the stress, and the conflicts of our crazy surface world. That's a deeply comforting narrative. We invent these places because deep down, we desperately want them to exist. Ultimately, the whole story of the hollow Earth is just a massive testament to the sheer power of human imagination and our deep-seated fascination with whatever lies just beyond our reach. Whether we're looking up at the distant stars or imagining what's hidden miles beneath our own feet, the search for mystery kind of defines us as a species, doesn't it? But as we explore these provocative, wild stories, we should always remember that the actual, scientifically proven truth of our world is almost always far more incredible and grounded in reality than any myth we could dream up. So, as we keep mapping the universe and our own blue planet, what will we imagine next?